on stage at the stage at last. You staying there, Gavin?
Yeah.
Alright. Good afternoon. Yep. Ready? No? It's changed the fonts, but nice mind fonts I need to change. My name's Stuart Dexter. I'm the Chief Executive of Tyneside Mind, joined by Gavin Atkins, who's staying in the audience for this talk, and Stuart Reed from Mind as well. We're going to talk to you about resilience and some of the ways that Mind are looking to promote resilience in our communities. For those of you who was here yesterday, you would hear Gavin talk about how Mind's structured. It can be a bit opaque, I think, from the outside, but it's a network of 147 separate charities working together to sort of one common aims and objectives. But the 147 local Mind associations are actually standalone charities, and we have our own board of trustees, and we pretty much set our own programme of work locally. So I'm the Chief Executive of Tyneside Northumbrian Mind, and we basically cover the whole of the Tyneside area all the way up to Scotland now, as of this week. Mind in London, sometimes referred to as National Mind, do a lot of the policy and campaign work. They support us, and they now develop programmes we can deliver out in the community. I think when I joined Mind 5 years ago, and I think then there was still a tendency for a lot of Mind associations to occupy people with mental health problems during the day. And that went back to when a lot of the mental institutions closed down, psychiatric wards, and people were being cared for in the community. And I think there was a tendency to have sort of day services, drop-ins, and just give somewhere for people to go. Before I started at Mind, and we were called Mind and Gated back then, there was this kind of decision that wasn't good enough really, that our clients deserve more than that. When I started 5 years ago, we had a really good think about what it is to be a mental health service, what mental health is, and what do we mean by terms like well-being. We now say we deliver our services according to the principles of well-being, resilience, prevention and recovery. And recovery wouldn't be the absence of symptoms from your mental health problem, but it would be living the best life you can despite your symptoms, recovering to a point where you can lead a full, fulfilling life. We now work with over 2,000 people across Tyneside. And one of the things we're looking at is building resilience in our communities, both for people who've had a mental health problem in the past and on their journey of recovery, for those people at more risk of developing a mental health problem, and also just in the general community, because everyone has mental health, everyone's got bad days, and I think there's something we can be done. So we're trying to get away from that medical model and that kind of looking at mental health and mental illness rather. Mind, as I said before, very much in the past I've worked with mental illness and people with severe and enduring illness, and in a second I'll hand over to Stuart because he's been working on some of the work nationally about resilience programs.
Thank you very much. I don't know, is there anything we can do about the format of that? Or are you going to see the top half of each slide? Shaking of heads. Okay. So what I can do is, first of all, just thank Stuart for and Tyneside Northumbrian Mind for giving us the opportunity to come up here and to pass you into the organising committee to talk about our work around resilience in Mind. It's something that is very new to Mind. Mind's been around since 1946, but it wasn't until our strategy of 2012, the current strategy that we're currently in, that we started actively looking at doing work that is specifically for people who are well. Mind has a rich and long history of working with people who have mental health problems, who are in recovery from mental health problems, who are living with day-to-day with mental health problems, and using methods around peer support and using different therapies and techniques. But actually, the work to actually identify groups who are at risk of developing mental health problems and doing something to provide some sort of protection and some sort of resilience to those people is still relatively new, and I think it's still a very organic process that we're currently going through. So I suppose I want to say there's two kind of caveats I think I want to talk about. One, first of all, is that we've heard over the last couple of days from a lot of experts in their own fields, with backed up by a lot of research, backed up by a lot of experience. We're not claiming to be those experts in resilience at the moment because we're still on a journey, we're still at the beginning of a journey, and we're quite happy with that, and we're quite happy to be challenged around resilience. We're quite happy for it to continue to be more around evolution and to be more organic. And also, the other caveat is the word resilience. Now, we know that if you look up the word resilience, you will get lots and lots of different interpretations, lots of different definitions. We're still not actually convinced that it's the best word to describe what we want to do and where we want to get to, and the kind of the tools and the empowerment we want to give to people. But for now, we think it's the best word that we've got, and it's the one that we're going to use. How are we doing with the formatting? Okay. So I think so if we go back to the beginning, so in 2012 we're setting out our current strategy, and we really wanted to think about how we could work with people who were well, and we put at the very heart of our current strategy, goal A of our current strategy is around staying well and giving people those skills to do that. Then I think the other piece of work that we did around that time was we wrote a scoping report involving a lot of desktop and practice-based research to try and find out who are the groups of people we should be working with, who were those at-risk groups, where were they, and what are some of the techniques that we can use. Here we go, that's great, thank you. So we wanted to sort of talk about why we want to do that work. We also want to talk about our definition of resilience. I want to tell you about who those target groups are, how we're currently doing this, what we've done so far. We've done some work with particular groups, and what we're going to do next. No health without mental health will not be new to you, will not be strange to the people in the room. It's from the Royal College of Psychiatrists' position statement in October 2010. This particular passage stood out for us in the work that we were doing and why we wanted to do it. That an effective public health strategy requires both universal interventions applied to the whole population, but particularly interventions that are targeted at people who are less likely to benefit from universal approaches and who are at higher risk of developing mental health problems, including those most excluded groups. We talked a bit about that already, and that was so the scoping report said that we wanted to come up with a definition that we were going to work with within our current strategy, and we wanted to think about the terminology around resilience. And a lot of people think about resilience as bouncing back, and we just felt this was inadequate. The resilience is not, for us, resilience was not about bouncing back. It wasn't about an event in someone's life, it wasn't about an experience and that person getting back to where they were before. It was about giving a person the tools, empowering someone to adapt to the challenging circumstances or the different set of circumstances that they were now in. And when we look at the groups that we were working with, that will become more apparent. So for us, it is the ability to adapt in the face of challenging circumstances, and that might be being diagnosed with a long-term physical health condition and having to live with that for the rest of the person's life. It could be having a baby, it could be being socially isolated, but maybe through age, maybe through mobility, maybe through being a member of the migrant community. And Medicine Sans Frontières talked about the establishing of a new balance, and this really resonated with what we wanted to do and how we wanted to work with people. Really importantly though, we thought that it's not something that's inherent, it is something that can be learned, and therefore it can be taught, and that's where we wanted to set ourselves out as doing. We wanted to be those agents to empower those people to gain these skills. What it is, so it isn't the ability to bounce back, it isn't that doing what you've always done before, going back to how you were before, and it wasn't that thing that person is a resilient person, that's inherent within them. So how are we going to do this? What are the areas of a person's life that we're going to concentrate on and we're going to look at, we're going to ask that person to look at? First of all, it was around maintaining well-being. I think there's a difference between well-being and resilience, that you can have one without the other and vice versa. We thought that well-being What we did have a lot of experience of with Mind, and certainly through our local Mind network, was bringing people together, positive activities to build well-being. And we thought these positive activities should certainly be very central to what we do within our resilience work. We also looked at the importance and the benefit of social capital, building social networks, maintaining social networks, reframing social networks. So at the moment we're doing quite a lot of work around student well-being. And one of the things is that when a person goes to university, they're very much often removed from their physical social environment, a physical network, especially if someone's got a pre-existing mental health problem or a propensity to develop one. Then you may be going around that person may be moving away from existing networks that have supported and kept them well. And then the third one was around psychological coping skills. So equipping people with a toolbox that they would be able to draw upon to build their own coping strategies. We put it into a lovely Venn diagram, which actually looks better in the font that we originally wrote the presentation in, but bear with us on that. So we think that those three areas coming together do actually come together to build somebody's resilience. And one of the evaluations of one of the pieces of work that I'll talk about a bit actually does show that these three things being delivered as a model or as an approach does actually do that and build resilience. So far we've only been working actually delivering services for a couple of years on this. We ran a pilot through our local Mind network. We commissioned 9 of our local minds to deliver the work. It was funded by the People's Health Trust. We wanted to work with 2 different groups of people that we had identified as being at risk of developing mental health problems. 2 that we chose for this particular pilot were women in the perinatal period. The perinatal period again can be stretched and narrowed. What we did is from throughout pregnancy and up to the age 1 of the child. And then we were looking to work with older unemployed men, so in certain areas of deprivation around. So we ran those 2 in East London, 1 in York, and the other one was in Merthyr, the valleys in South Wales. And we did aim at people who were well, so we wanted people to come onto the courses, to be part of the pilot, who hadn't presented with mental health problem before, weren't receiving any services at the moment, and who considered themselves at that time to be emotionally well. We had it independently evaluated by 2 bodies, so the School of Midwifery at the University of Chester and at what is now Leeds Beckett University, and we published that last year. We had some the evaluation findings, because we were working with people who had presented as well. We were going to look upon maintenance of people staying well as a success, as a positive outcome, that a person during their experience had not become more unwell. What we actually found was that 82% of people actually strengthened their resilience and built their resilience, and only a few actually maintained the same level. Confidence and building and self-esteem were vital in what we were doing, and the qualitative part of the evaluation found that men and women left the project with a reframed outlook on life and felt positive about moving forward. And we were confident from that what we were doing was working, we were heading in the right direction. The evaluation found that the resilience programme was of very high value and relevance. The programme shows that great gains could be made, and that we learned lessons from that. We're also running 2 pilots at the moment, working with people with long-term physical health conditions, with diabetes and heart disease. Those are running currently. We'll have an interim report this summer, and we're working in partnership with Diabetes UK and British Heart Foundation. We've felt with these projects it's very important to work in partnership, that we're working with groups for whom we are not the experts, but there are people out there, organisations out there who are the experts. And the programme is due to finish next March, where again we will have a full evaluation available. We're also doing quite a lot of work around BME communities. We've got 2 particular projects that have run around working with on emotional health within the Muslim community through the Quran, and also we've just launched a project working with African Caribbean men in Birmingham, and that's launching next month. So what are we doing? We're currently developing an app for students. We look at a bunch of students as a group that we particularly want to work with. We're also engaged in a particularly large, exciting project working with emergency personnel from the 4 main blue light services. That will be running from May to December. And we are potentially looking at another project to build upon our work with women in the perinatal period. Also looking to see if we can develop a product of our model eventually, and looking to get together local minds who are working in this field to share good practice, because there's a lot of work going on out there within the local mind network. Further work with students we'd like to do. We need to map what's going on. We don't know exactly what's going on out there within our own network, because as I say, it's quite a wide definition of resilience. We need to work out what people are doing and what fits with our model. And we want to keep talking about it. We want to keep talking about resilience, keep it high on the agenda. I think that's it. So if there are any questions.
Just to conclude quickly, really, bring it back to Mindsight. Quite a few of my Tyneside Mind colleagues were here yesterday. And I think we felt it kind of validated what we do and what we know works. It's not scientifically evidence-based, our approach, but we do a lot of consultation with clients. We're constantly monitoring the outcomes, how we can help them better. We've adopted a service design approach and we're putting new services. And I'm from a youth and community work background. For me, what we do meaningful things together. It makes people feel better. So it was really good to hear Dan's talk yesterday, because it was obviously far more research into that and what we were doing, and it validated the approach we already adopt. So thank you for that.
I don't know if we have time for any questions or if we shuffle off.
You're only working for the Northumbria and the
Yeah, we were in Newcastle, North Tyneside, South Tyneside, Gateshead and Northumberland. We cover that whole area from Durham all the way up to the border.
I don't service and children's service.
We do some children's work, and we're increasing the amount of children's work. We've just worked with Mind to Secure Department for Education grant to work in 10 schools as a 1-year pilot. We've got what is effectively a mental health youth club called Headspace in North Shields, and we're part of some other projects that deliver services to young people as well. A lot of the work is for adults, but we do some for children and young people too. We're going to work on more of those.
And also with young people, this model is currently being used in 4 areas in London, and also as part of Head Start in Lancashire as well, working in schools using this model with children and young people.
Well, you briefly mentioned it, but I want to dig in a bit more. Could resilience be taught, and if it is, what kind of training do you provide?
Yeah, I think, so far what we've used is we're using a specific course that has been adapted, really using quite a lot of CBT techniques. And at the moment, that's the model that we're using. What we don't want to do is get bogged down in just using one set of rules to do this work. So we do want to test others. But it is something that it's very much like the 5 ways to well-being. Actually, it's one of those things that we actually believe it can be given to someone. Those skills can actually be imparted, and a lot of it is common sense. A lot of it, you do positive activities, you maintain good social networks, and you learn how to cope better. But certainly a lot of the groups that we're working with, especially when we worked with unemployed men, they hadn't really grasped the idea that was something that they could actively do and actively engage in to help prevent themselves becoming unwell. So that's what we mean by we do believe it can be taught and learned.
and locally we adopt different approaches. We released an app 2 or 3 months ago, which is a mind mood app where you can score your mood, keep a journal entry and extrapolate hashtags, and you can go back and check if you put in gym, what your scores were, how, and it's to look at the triggers on what will make you feel good or bad. So we promote those sort of techniques to our clients too locally.
Thanks very much.